The city lights of Los Angeles flickered like stars trapped beneath glass as Damon Caldwell rolled his carry-on toward Terminal 5 at LAX. The air was cool, touched by a whisper of ocean wind, and the hum of evening flights echoed through the spacious concourse. Damon wore a simple charcoal hoodie, dark jeans, and understated sneakers. His suitcase, a sleek Italian model, rolled silently beside him. Nothing in his appearance suggested that he was the man who had transformed a struggling regional airline into the elite titan known as Billionaire. For over a decade, Damon had poured every ounce of energy, discipline, and vision into building his aviation empire. Meridian wasn't just an airline. It was a flying experience, a name synonymous with luxury, precision, and dignity. Celebrities, diplomats, tech moguls, all flew Meridian. And yet, Damon never let the success change who he was. To the world, he was a reserved billionaire rarely seen in public, a quiet force behind glass boardroom doors. To himself, he was still the boy who used to watch planes take off from a cracked fence line behind the Birmingham airfield. Tonight, Damon chose to fly commercial, not on his Gulfstream jet, but on Meridian's own flagship flight from Los Angeles to New York. He wanted to test the experience firsthand, unannounced. No entourage, no special instructions. Just a seat booked in Suite 1A, first class. That decision, though simple, would change the tone of the night. At the VIP check-in, a young woman in a crimson blazer barely glanced up as he approached. "Evening," Damon said calmly. "Checking in for Flight 212 to JFK." The agent, whose badge read Claire Winters, gave him a perfunctory nod. Then her eyes moved over his hoodie, his sneakers, the absence of a Rolex or luggage tags plastered with hotel logos. "Sir, this counter is for our Meridian Gold and first-class passengers only," she said in a tone that was clipped but rehearsed. "I'm aware," Damon replied, unbothered. "I'm flying in Suite 1A." Claire's brows lifted subtly. "Suite 1A?" she repeated, with a slight tilt of disbelief. "May I see your boarding pass?" He handed it over. Her eyes flicked to the screen, then back at him. She hesitated. "I'll need to verify this." "Please wait to the side," she said, her voice tight. "We've had issues with passengers attempting last-minute upgrades with points." Damon didn't move. This wasn't a last-minute booking. Claire pursed her lips. "We have strict guidelines. Our premium suites begin at $12,500 one-way. It's very exclusive. We just want to ensure there hasn't been an error." Behind her, another agent subtly motioned toward the lounge entrance. Claire turned her body to partially block Damon's path, unconsciously. Damon exhaled slowly, not in anger, but with the heavy weight of familiarity. He had encountered this pattern before. Quiet dismissal. Judgment by surface. It was never surprising, only disappointing. Then, like a gust of air snapping a curtain aside, a voice interrupted the tension. "Mr. Caldwell?" It was a man, flushed and breathless, rushing through the queue with urgency. Damon turned. The man stopped short, straightened his navy tie, and cleared his throat. "Sir, I didn't know you were flying tonight." It was Daniel Keene, Meridian's West Coast Regional Director. His eyes darted to Claire, who had stiffened beside the podium, still holding Damon's boarding pass. Claire looked confused. "Mr. Caldwell?" she echoed, and the words fell from her lips like stones. Daniel's jaw tensed. "Do you have any idea who you just turned away?" Claire blinked. "He said his name was Damon." "Caldwell." Daniel nodded grimly. "Correct. Damon Caldwell. He owns Meridian Air. He built this airline." Silence swept over the check-in area like a cold wave. Claire's cheeks turned pale, then flushed crimson. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I didn't recognize," she whispered, almost to herself. "You didn't ask," Damon said, his voice even but firm. "You made assumptions." Passengers nearby who had been watching the exchange began whispering among themselves. A few pulled out their phones, sensing something significant unfolding. Daniel turned to Damon with a professional but embarrassed expression. "Sir, please accept my personal apology. This is not the Meridian experience we pride ourselves on." Damon held Claire's gaze for a moment longer. "Respect," he said slowly, "should never be based on appearance. I didn't build this airline for the elite. I built it for anyone who values being treated with dignity at 35,000 feet." Claire nodded shakily. "You're absolutely right. I'm deeply sorry, Mr. Caldwell." Daniel gestured nervously toward the lounge. "Please, sir, allow me to escort you." But Damon held up a hand. "I'll find my own way. Just make sure your staff understand. No one should feel like they don't belong in a place they've earned their seat in. Whether it's Suite 1A or Row 35. As he stepped past the velvet ropes and into the glimmering marble corridor of the first-class lounge, heads turned. A few guests, having overheard bits of the exchange, straightened in their seats. Others looked down, abashed. Inside the aircraft, preparations shifted the moment Damon's name appeared on the manifest. The purser, Juliana, nearly dropped her tablet when she saw it. "Is this real?" she whispered to a junior flight attendant. "The Damon Caldwell? On our flight?" Moments later, she greeted him at the door with a fresh glass of chilled Dom Perignon. "Mr. Caldwell, it's an honor. Please let us know if there's anything we can do to make this flight exceptional." Damon gave her a soft smile. "Just a smooth flight, Juliana. That's all I ever asked for." As the plane ascended above the glowing coastline, Damon reclined in his suite, the leather seat molded to his frame. The tablet offered thousands of hours of entertainment, but he didn't reach for it. Instead, he looked out the window at the stars. His mind wandered, not to Claire or the embarrassment she'd caused, but to the core of why he'd started Meridian in the first place. His mother had once been denied entry to a first-class lounge on a layover in Atlanta. She was a nurse, exhausted from a humanitarian mission. The man at the counter had assumed she didn't belong. That had stayed with Damon for decades. Meridian was his response to that moment. It was built for people like her. People who earned their way through quiet sacrifice, not loud entitlement. By the time the wheels touched down at JFK, Damon had already drafted a new policy memo in his head, one that would be sent to every employee, from the top brass to the ground crew. It would be titled, Meridian Standard, Power with Grace. It would outline the importance of judgment-free service. It would mandate empathy training. But most importantly, it would echo the sentence Damon had said that night: respect should never be based on appearance. The next morning, headlines quietly circulated across the aviation industry. Meridian CEO disguised as passenger confront.